Geometry Dash is a very community-driven game, and I think a lot of people take that for granted. Few games are fortunate enough to have a creative, passionate community that keeps the game exciting like GD does. This isn't meant to be a history of GD or predictions for the future. Everyone's done those topics to death. I want to talk about the community in terms of the individuals, and the impacts that online communities such as these have on their members. While this video is about the GD community, I want it to be relevant for online gaming communities in general. Consider this more of a case study, if anything. For those of you who are first hearing about the GD community, I'll be giving a brief introduction to go over some much needed context. If you've been around, feel free to skip ahead. So let's start with the very basics. Geometry Dash, we call it GD because it's cooler, started as a mobile game that launched in August 2013, but a computer version was released following the positive reception to the game. The game is a difficult single-player rhythm-based platformer where players navigate obstacles with the click of a single button. If you hit a spike or an obstacle, you have to start the level from the beginning, and the only evidence your character ever existed is the increase in your attempt count. The game also includes a level editor and servers for players to make and share their own levels. Creating levels in GD isn't as simple as dragging an image onto a background. Creators have limited objects to work with and have to blend them in creative ways to create beautiful levels. GD is a very successful game, and it remains in the top charts for the most downloaded apps on the App Store almost 10 years after its release. Despite this massive popularity, the GD community is still considered small and tight-knit. Remember the editor I mentioned? You only get access to it if you have the paid version of the game, which will cost you around $5. This might seem like a bit of a scam until you realize that the editor is what takes the game from this to this. This small price barrier separates the casual players and those that play the game passionately. There are two subcultures within the GD community that complement each other to create a positive cycle of innovation and growth. I'm talking about players and creators. The players are always pushing to beat the hardest levels, and the creators are always looking to create the most beautiful and fun levels. For a level to be published, it must be verified by being completed legitimately from start to finish, and verifying the hardest levels is one of the greatest honors a player can strive for. The community exists across a variety of platforms. YouTube creators make videos for news and entertainment, Discord servers provide forums for people to talk and meet people, GD Twitter is a mess, and there are many more community-driven platforms that could all make their own videos, like the Demon List and the GD public servers. I think that's enough context for now, so let's start talking about some of the impacts. I want to start off on a lighter note and explain the positive impacts this community has. It goes without saying that community is integral to human society. I know it's super cliche, but humans are in fact social creatures and have adapted and evolved to be more social than ever. Through niche online communities where members are brought together through a single interest, it's very easy to reach out and make friends. And I think that's something that a lot of people try to undermine, with the argument that virtual friendships are somehow inherently less valuable than IRL ones. I find this line of thinking to be extremely reductive. A benefit that finds itself unique to online communities is a massive degree of accessibility. No matter your time, location, or language, you will always be able to find people to connect with. You're going to find yourself interacting with people from across the world, from different cultures and worldviews, and with different lifestyles. It seems kind of contradictory, but you can learn a lot from the outside world just by being active on your computer at home. Another positive impact this community has is the competitive culture that it nurtures. This is more specific to players than creators, but I find that players in the GD community do a very good job of being encouraging to players of all skill levels. This game is very difficult, and everyone understands that. Everyone was that person once, trying to get through Clutterfunk and thinking the level was impossible. I remember seeing the players I admired beating levels I thought I would never beat, which motivated me to improve at the game to match them. I think it's fair to assume that almost every player in the community has gone through a similar experience. When players complete a difficult level and share it, people congratulate them. When players are struggling, people offer advice and support. For the most part, interactions surrounding player achievements are encouraging and positive. Of course, there's always an awful group of people who feel the need to diminish people's accomplishments, but we'll talk about them later. To summarize briefly, some key benefits of the GD community are its accessibility, its diversity, its sociability, and its mostly positive culture. Now, some of that first part should come along with a big asterisk, because I'm going to talk about something directly related to that benefit. Like I said, accessibility is a huge part of what makes these communities so good, but unfortunately it's always possible to have too much of something, and that is especially the case with online communities. Internet addiction is closely linked to online community involvement, as a psychological study by J.J. Candel revealed that multi-user dungeon games, internet relay chat, and chat rooms were the main culprits when it came to developing addictions. While GD is not a multi-user dungeon game, the other two categories certainly apply. Addiction in all forms can be harmful, and internet addiction is not something that should be ignored. Here's an excerpt from an academic journal published by Educational Psychology Review. Quote, in Brenner's study in 1997, 80% of nearly 600 respondents indicated at least 5 use-related problems such as failure to manage time, missed sleep, missed meals, etc., suggesting that such patterns are the norm. Some respondents reported more serious problems because of internet use. Trouble with employers or social isolation except for internet friends. Troubles similar to those found with other addictions. Even though online interactions don't involve substances that can harm your health, the neurological impacts are similar. And keep in mind, this study was published in 1997. Since then, the amount of internet users worldwide has grown by over 50 times, and with more advancements in technology, it becomes increasingly difficult to disconnect ourselves from the online world. This doesn't completely invalidate what I said earlier about accessibility. With moderation, these negative impacts can more or less be negated. Obviously, that's easier said than done, but it's not impossible. As the paper nicely summarizes, based on the aforementioned studies, it is difficult to draw the conclusion that heavy use of the internet results in an overall negative impact on addicts' lives. Only one negative impact can be conclusively identified: time disruption, leading to interference with academic work, professional performance, daily routines, and so on. However, findings on the impact of heavy internet use on addicts' social relationships are inconclusive to positive. These results are concurrent with my own little survey that I conducted, where the overall consensus for interactions with the community were positive as well. Now, we have to talk about the real ugly side of the community. The story I want to tell is a serious and complicated one. I want to give both a trigger warning and a disclaimer. The story talks about self-harm and harassment. I was not active in the community when all of this happened, and much evidence from the time has been deleted or lost. I want to talk about the creator Triaxis, who many know for her popular 2.0 levels like Unity and X. Triaxis was a polarizing figure in the community, and the drama began when she received a lot of hate from the community for making levels people thought were too generic and modern. She responded by making a level called Dear Nostalgists, a direct call out to the people critiquing the new style of level design. This level was barely decorated and meant more or less as a joke, but the level was ordered a feature rate by the developer and angered the haters more. It is around this time that Triaxis came out as transgender on her YouTube channel, and the reception to that video by the Triaxis haters was too much. Triaxis posted a very disturbing video to her channel titled "With Just a Smiley Face." This video showed snippets of Triaxis performing self-harm with a knife with visible blood on her arms. The hate continued. An influential channel at the time, Water, posted videos calling out Triaxis for attention whoring and ardently denied any possibility that this person who had suffered through so much hate and disrespect could be anything but attention-seeking. Triaxis deleted her channel and moved away from the community, changed her username to Shy, and began posting art content in an effort to escape the hate. I wish I could say that this is where it all stopped, but I think you can piece together what happened next. The Triaxis haters found her social media accounts, and still not satisfied with the damage they had done, chased her off the internet entirely. Since this time, she's not been seen. Nobody knows if she made it through and is living a better life, or if she made it out at all. What this story shows is the severe disconnection from reality that can occur in communities such as these. When people let the gang mentality take over and fail to exercise their own critical thinking, what we essentially got was a giant witch hunt, with people trying to do the most harm possible to this person they hated for arbitrary reasons. Here are some of the things Water said in the video attacking Triaxis. Quote, "All she proved is that she would do almost anything for attention. It wasn't a big cut anyways, and most likely was fake, and she was lying." Despite all the evidence, despite all the cries for help, these people did not believe it because they didn't want to, because it was most likely fake. This episode of mass hysteria is one of the darkest in the community and shows the true danger of getting too passionate in an online setting. As a final note, not everyone hated on Triaxis. A lot of people showed support and concern throughout the situation, and the hashtag #SaveTriaxis saw a lot of popularity. The movement was associated with big names like Etzer, who did the right thing in showing much needed support for Triaxis. Keep this story with you as a cautionary tale, and we as a community must make an active effort to make sure nothing of this kind happens again. Despite the horrible things that happen on the internet, I don't think it's a surprise that online communities like GD are still popular. They enable social interactions at all times, surrounding any interest you could possibly imagine. But at the end of the day, so what? I think we as individuals in this community need to reflect. We need to ask ourselves, what are we giving to this community, and what are we getting out of it? Without reflections like these, it's easy to form toxic habits and to pressure yourself into something that you no longer derive pleasure from, or to lose sight of why you interacted with the community in the first place. It's also important to do things in moderation. Go outside, hang out with some friends over dinner, and please touch some grass. And please, 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 please think for yourself. Don't take the opinion of whoever has the most influence in the community, but do your own research and make up your own mind. I had a very insightful conversation with a school counselor about this topic, and she offered the following wisdom, which I think is a nice conclusion. I think there's two sides to everything. I see the benefits of this, but I also see how people feel like this is a replacement, where I'm not sure that it's a replacement, but rather an addition. A complementary thing. Not the thing, but something to add to your life, and not to control or overtake it. Thank you for watching, and a huge thank you to everyone in the MLore Discord server who helped me gather data. You guys are the best.